So I'm doing my topic on the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. So that act was also known as the Welfare Reform Act, and it was signed into law on August 22, 1996. And its goal was to move families off public assistance, so like government help, by helping them support themselves. So there were many requirements to to this act that people needed to follow as well as states. So I'm only going to name a few, and starting off with the requirements in terms of work. So it says must work after 2 years on assistance with few exceptions. 25% of all families in each state must be engaged in work activities or have left the rolls in fiscal year 1997, rising to 50% in fiscal year 2002. Single parents must participate for at least 20 hours per week in the first year, increasing to at least 30 hours per week by fiscal year 2000, and two-parent families must work 35 hours per week by July 1st, 1997. Another requirement was that it provides $14 billion in child care funding over 6 years, which is an increase of their current law that they had at the time, which was only $3.5 billion, to help more mothers move into jobs. And the new law also guarantees that women on welfare continue to receive health coverage for their families, including at least 1 year of transitional Medicaid when they leave welfare for work. Another requirement was to participate in unsubsidized or subsidized employment, on-the-job training, work experience, community service, 12 months of vocational training, or provide child care services to individuals participating in community service. And up to 6 weeks of job search, no more than 4 consecutive weeks, would count toward the work requirement that they had. But no more than 20% of each state's caseload may count toward the work requirements solely by participating in vocational training or by being a teen parent in secondary school. So single parents with a child under 6 who cannot find childcare cannot be penalized for failure to meet the work requirements. And states can exempt from the work requirements single parents with children under age 1 and disregard these individuals in the calculation of participation rates for up to 12 months. So another part besides the work part was the promoting responsibility, which emphasized more on child support and teen provisions. So I'm only going to go over a few of the requirements as there are a lot to it. So the first one is Federal Case Registry, a national directory of new hires to track delinquent parents across state lines. It also requires that employers report all new hires to state agencies for transmission of new hire information to the National Directory of New Hires. This builds on President Lincoln's June 1996 executive action to track delinquent parents across state lines. The law also expands and streamlines procedures for direct withholding of a child support from wages. Another one was that streamlines the legal process for paternity establishment, making it easier and faster to establish paternities. It also expands the voluntary in-hospital paternity establishment program started by the Clinton administration in 1993, and requires a state form for voluntary paternity acknowledgement. In addition, the law mandates that states publicize the availability and encourage the use of voluntary paternity establishment processes. And individuals who do fail to cooperate with paternity establishment will have their monthly cash assistance reduced by at least 25%. And states can implement tough child support enforcement techniques. The new law will expand wage garnishments, allow states to seize assets, allow states to require community service in some cases, and enable states to revoke driver's and professional licenses for parents who owe delinquent child support. Families no longer receiving assistance will have priority in the distribution of child support areas. This new policy will bring families who have left welfare for work about $1 billion in support over the first 6 years. This new act also includes grants to help states establish programs that support and facilitate non-custodial parents' visitations with and access to their children. So, before this act, there was a similar bill to it, but it was vetoed because it didn't sound as effective as this one did. So some of the improvements that this new act did have included guaranteed medical coverage, increased child care funding, and mandatory child care maintenance of effort, incentives for states to move people into jobs, nutrition programs, current law, child protection and adoption, and current law, child care, health and safety standards, protection of disabled children, food stamps, and help for illegal immigrants. And this law did sound like great for everyone, but it did not have that great of an effect on some of the working families. Falling caseloads are linked to the good economy, and those who were not on that good economy got the lesser side of it all. So even during the latter years of the boom, many families were unable to maintain stable full-time employment, and wages are too low to enable families to escape poverty and avoid material hardships. And contractions of the safety net led to higher poverty among people in working single mother families.